Fuck! That wasn't even full throttle.
No?
No. Jesus wept. I didn't realise it had an engine start button.
Right so, mate.
Oh, I think that's better.
A bit of faffing with.
And there we go.
So it's going back to the whole TVR not actually having anything in the same place on any car.
This one has had a lot of playing with, so it is not the same as others. And that is evident immediately as you touch the throttle. Crikey.
So
this is the most savage Griff I've ever been in.
Really? You've driven a few of these, haven't you?
Yeah, I've owned two myself, so I do know a thing or two about them. And it's it wants to go. So there's no two ways about it.
So 5 litre V8 originally from, let's get this right, so it's Buick in, I think it was
1953 Buick came out of it.
That was a
all alloy, you know, push-rod engine. So they were, I mean, ahead of their time at that stage.
20% Rover, 80% TVR.
Yeah, TVR did a lot of their own development. They are essentially a totally different animal to the Rover V8. The Rover V8 was a 3.5 litre, which went in like the EFI cars and, you know, the SD1s. The best they got was a twin plenum, and then you ended up with stuff like this, which TVR had a 5 litre, like the one we've got behind us, funnily enough. Tailing us, we have a Griff 500, which is the standard original car, booked at 340 brake, and then detuned for drivability to 320, which is a lot.
But who really thinks, well, I don't, a 5 litre isn't big enough, so let's change it to a 5.3 and that?
This is 5.4.
5.4.
Yeah. So you can't go much bigger than that because there's not a lot of block left at that stage.
It's a very small engine anyway, isn't it?
It doesn't like going very slowly.
It feels quite lumpy at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to get enough air to feed those cylinders. It's a problem on most TVRs anyway, they get quite shunty low down. I mean, this is full ACT carbon inlet with triple throttle bodies on it, so it's really, I mean,
jeez,
it's ready to play.
That already you can tell just doing like 20 mile an hour and putting your foot down, and you just get that instant surge. I thought a V8 was going to be like a sedate type of engine.
Yeah, I mean, a standard 500 isn't slow. This is going to be something else. Even a standard 500 with, there's a company called Tornado who do a Tornado chip, make that to smooth bore and big bore intake system from the likes of Tim at ACT, and it does make the car more drivable low down, but they still have, well, more than ample power, shall we say. You'll be spinning the rears in every gear almost, but this thing is a bit on a different level.
That is ridiculous.
It's got some go, isn't it? To think this is 25, probably heading on 30 years old, and the engine is, well, 53, 2023. So the actual block itself, the design is 73 years old now. Sorry, 70 years old, if I can do my maths.
Wow.
And concentrated driving at the same time. Yeah, so it's a
classic. Well, these, trying to think, can this go into the US yet? Or
yes,
it can?
yeah, these are over 25 years old, so they're available to buy if people want to import them. You know who to talk to if you want to find a good one.
Talk to HPC and ring Miles.
Yeah, this is an animal. I would imagine a D-Cat would let it breathe and make it go even more mental.
Gee, that just, not even going quickly. Well, I don't think you could because the wheels are just spinning, you're not moving anywhere. It just gets louder.
Yeah, that didn't hook up a lot. These old tyres aren't going to help its plight. if that actually hooked up and moved forwards, I think you'd be shocked at how fast they are. I mean, even my old Griff 500 was not a slow car, but actually the car feels fantastic as a whole. You know, a few little tweaks here and there, this will be a wonderful driver's machine.
I mean, all TVRs, I've only driven a couple now, but there's something quite special about them. I can understand why people get them, because they're
special cars,
and they are fast and loud, and it's more they're loud and shouty and have personality.
They tick so many boxes. They're great to look at, they're great to drive, they make a wonderful noise. Even if you're a petrol head and you haven't owned one, most people look at you and think, I've got respect for you because you're braver than I am. Either to drive it or to own it.
Yeah.
And they're not as bad as people make out. The Griff is, you know, the iconic car. The owner of this car, David, who's let me take it for a spin because it's his new toy, I actually sold his Chimera 500 a while ago, and he's had some amazing cars, plenty of 911s, M3s, so other TVRs, and he's always wanted a Griff 500. That has been his, like, that doesn't matter how much things are, this is what he's always wanted.
Really?
Yeah, so he's just bought it, wanted me to, you know, give it a once over, give it a drive, tell him what I think probably wants doing to it, etc, to make it spot on. So we'll have a chat when we get to the pub with him, let him know what I think wants playing with. But yeah, I mean, if you want a TVR,
these are sensible. I think with these one, this is where the styling changed, isn't it? Going from, what was it, the Tasman, wasn't it, the one before?
Yeah, so
which is
you
very
had the
much
Martin Lilly era wedge-shaped cars.
Yeah, which went a bit out of fashion because they were very 80s, and it was like,
yeah, 70s, yeah, late 70s, early 80s. You know, Lotus, Ferrari, they all had wedge-shaped cars. So it was massively in fashion, cutting edge then. But this is like a return to classic British sports car, you know, fared-in lamps. I mean, a lot of people have dubbed these as, you know, the best looking car since the E-Types come out of England.
Won the award, best like design awards and things like that.
Oh, they've won many awards. And also, I mean, at the time, a Griff 500, a standard Griff 500, would outstrip, by a country mile as well, I'll have you know, a Testarossa.
Really?
Yes. So, 5 litre flat 12 Ferrari. Not only 0 to 60, it would only beat it when it got to about 160 mile an hour, the Ferrari.
It's not going to happen very often.
No, these would outstrip it. So, for a tenth of the cost.
But from what I was reading, I think the initial idea was to use the Tasman underpinnings and just get the body shell of this, but then they found out there was a limitation of about 270 brake, and then they just weren't very good, the Tasmans, to take it.
That's it. The sort of wedges had a different suspension setup. You know, they were a completely different layout of the chassis. So this was like the new era of TVR. And again, the backbone of the car, yes, it has changed. You know, suspension pickup points changed, etc., throughout the models, but it's essentially the same thing. You know, all the way through to the Serbs, you know, the Sagaris, etc. They're very similar cars because it works. You know, double wishbone front rear. You know, you've got decent anti-roll bars. The pre-cat Griffs didn't come with a rear anti-roll bar.
Oh, really?
And a lot of people with the 500s take the rear anti-roll bar off because it actually means the car bites in a little bit before it wants to break away.
So wouldn't it have more movement?
Yeah, that's it. It rolls a little bit more, which obviously puts more weight on the outside wheel, which is where the grip is, and therefore they do take a little longer before they break away. So they're actually, if anything, a little bit easier to drive.
So without being strange, how hot is your gear knob you're holding? Is
Fine.
That's not... Because I've read a lot, again, people saying, oh...
That's if the heat shielding's gone in here. Again,
okay.
Most of the stories you hear about how rubbish TVRs are because people have got a rubbish TVR. Not because they're rubbish cars, they're actually wicked. You can hear the fans are on. It's not getting above 90 degrees, it's sitting dead happy.
Yeah, that obviously another myth, because everywhere you read, it's like, oh yeah, they get so hot you can't touch the gear stick.
No, it's only if you're heat shielding under here is all gone.
Because that'd be a really weird design. I know TVR do make some unusual decisions, but burning your hand on a gear stick really would be...
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing that, it means that there is something wrong and you should have it seen to instead of just moan about it. They're not all the same. Just because somebody's one's they're going to moan doesn't mean that everyone's is. But that is the standard. Yeah, my mate Trev down the pub, you know, said, well, he had one and it did that and it spat him off into a hedge.
Although, the stat on this was 70% of accidents in a Griff did not involve another car.
Well, understandably so. If you'd hopped out of anything else at the time, again, unless you're in a Testarossa, it's going to be a frightening change, isn't it? You know, even M3s and whatnot at the time, what was about when these were made? 92, 93, 94. So you're in E30 territory. They had like 220 horsepower from an inline 4.
Which is nothing in comparison.
No, I mean they're still a quick car in their day, but you hop out of something like that into something like this, and it's a completely different animal. This will bite you.
And it's light, which is the brilliant thing.
Yes, lighter, probably twice or 3 times the amount of torque, more horsepower, shorter wheelbase.
Was it a smidge over 1,000 kilos this, which is
yeah, this one's got power steering, so probably about 1060, something like that.
Got to brace my neck now.
That's not a move. This thing is fast.
That was outrageous.
Yeah, this is really fast.
Bloody hell.
Genuinely quick car. Yeah. Oh, wow. Dave, you have purchased an animal. It isn't an animal and it wants to escape.
That was...
You have to this in a cage and lock it up when you put it at home.
Put a muzzle on it and...
Yeah, stop it breaking out of the garage.
You know it's quick when you're saying it's quick when you've driven quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, I've now driven many Griffiths amongst lots of other TVRs. I've owned 2 myself, so I do know them relatively well. This one is, and again, even the cars with the tornado chips, they're not slow. They will shift.
How does this? I've only driven the T350 and a Tuscan S. How does this compare performance-wise to those 2?
I mean, both of them are later cars, so they've got better brakes. They've got more mechanical grip because you've got 18-inch spiders on them, so you've got more tyre on the ground. There's more mechanical grip to the car.
Just
the chassis
punch.
And yeah, in out-and-out punch, this would really keep up in a straight line.
Yeah.
It might beat them in a straight line.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually think that probably would be a T350 in a straight line shootout.
That is silly.
That's quick. That's up there with 4.2 Serbs, maybe even a bit more. That's bloody fast.
Wow.
That is an amazingly quick car.
I hope this comes across to people watching this, just... Oh.
It handles beautifully as well. This is fantastic. I mean that mid-range punch, that's really like a 3rd throttle, maybe not even that. This car is fantastic.
What's that?
Oh my word, this is lovely. So 3rd gear pull. Bloody Nora. That was 40 to quite a bit more than 40.
40 to 60.
Ish. Yeah, just under. I think it's 59
50,
and a half. It's super relaxed. Suspension's actually brilliant. I think the guy that owned it before, the day bought it off, used to race TVRs, and therefore knows how to set up a car, and it is evident. I mean, a mid-range punch is lovely.
It's this bit of road along here, isn't it, in a minute, that will test the suspension. I know when I took my Mini along here, I was
Yeah.
like banging my head on the roof. Well, I won't bang my head on the roof here.
The
but-
only things that don't spin up the rear wheels up this bit, I mean, this has got really old tyres, so it's good. It would do it anyway. Would be modern McLarens, like a Lotus Evora has good enough suspension, and the only other car I found is an NSX.
Oh really?
Their suspension is unbelievable.
I think
Super low unsprung mass, very stiff all aluminium chassis, so they basically, the suspension's super independent and works just as it was intended. So far! That wasn't even full throttle.
no.
No! Jesus wept! Yeah, it's mad.
Wow.
This is fantastic. It smells like a warm Griff. It's got all of the right. Oh, this has got the right ingredients.
I'm going to touch your knob again, see if it's hot.
You touch my knob as much as you like.
No, that's...
People pay good money for that day, mate.
So how much, if you wanted to get in something like this, how much, roughly?
You can pick up a Griff anywhere from about 16.5k for a sort of start run-of-the-mill one. This is a bit special. Something like this, probably 25, 30k. An SE, which is the end of the line stuff, which is a bit more polished as a finished item, 35 to 40k. A lot of old school people will be going, oh, it's way too much money. But, you know, buy a Testarossa or something that will keep up or won't keep up, as the case may be. You're into £90,000. So, that, and they're nowhere near as rare. This will be a more rare car.
So where would you go after the Griff? What replaced it? Was Tuscan and...
Yeah, the Tuscans came out. Obviously T350 is the T350, well, Tamora really. Again, the big Griff lovers will say, no, it hasn't got a V8. I absolutely love a Tamora. I think they're fantastic and they're super rare. There's only about 75 of them on the road. So Tamoras are fantastic cars. Same kind of power figures, TVR speed 6 engine, but you've got the AP racing brakes and a roll cage as standard, and a nice billet alloy pedal box, like all the rest of the T cars, and they're wonderful things. Come highly recommended. But in answer to your question, where do you go after a TVR? Nowhere. What can you buy that's anything like it? Nothing. Is it a kit car? No. Are they poorly built? If you buy a poorly built one, yes. If you buy one that's been well looked after, no, they're brilliant, as you've just found out.
Yeah, I mean, that was brilliant. So, thank you for that. That was a good experience in my first Griff. Hopefully we can arrange a drive for one at some point in the future.
We will do more.
But anyway guys, I hopefully you've enjoyed that as much as I have. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Comments are always welcome, and remember to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.